waiting to make sure my stream was actually going to work this time. But I wanted to come right out and say I did some testing, albeit not very accurate testing because of the way that damage numbers and shit like that work in Nioh. But one thing I did figure out is that the single katana is by far the most OP weapon. The single katana and the kusarigama can output way more damage than even a level 750 dual sword build with every little ounce of min-max put into it. And again, like I said, I didn't have that available to me, obviously, on my other character. My other character does have a lot of plus 10 stuff at this point, but from what I could tell, and again, I'm sure there is some diminishing return shit that is going on, but my other character isn't even close to being min-maxed, but no matter what weapon I used, I could not even get remotely close to the damage I can output with a single katana. Like, on this character already, I'm already just dealing, like, almost 2,000 damage basic attacks. Granted, I'm not going to do that much damage to, like, the Way of the Gourd enemies, but for comparison's sake, there, I did 2,000 base damage to that with the first R1. I'm gonna lower her armor real quick. I'm gonna smack her once. Alright. So there you go. No weird weakness effect, no counter hit bullshit. I accidentally used a skill because I was trying to block and then attack. Again, why it's hard to test, because you have to do things so many times in a row. But I am curious. I know that enemy doesn't respawn, but the little licker right here does. I want to smack him with one basic attack. Alright, so I'm just going to walk up to him. There. 1,800 damage. Now I'm going to do the same. And I'll do a sword. I didn't hit both hits. He had damage resistance. So I did 1,700, or 1,700, however you want to say it. I'm so used to my parents saying it as 100 that I can't say it as 1,000, but... Alright. I gotta hit him with both swords this time. Alright. So that's dealing around 1,500, give or take. That did around 1,500. Yeah, I keep letting him steal my Amrita, and he's making my Amrita disappear right now, but I don't care. I'm just trying to get an idea. Is there any better enemy in this immediate area I can test damage on that doesn't have some stupid effect on it? Ooh, what about the Tengu? The Tengu will be a good test. So I'm consistently dealing around 1,500 damage a swing with these swords. Just with basic attacks. And again, this has 20% close combat damage on it, but that should cause diminishing returns when I have it pulled out, because with the way that everyone is saying how damage works, I can't, where's my close combat damage? I'm blind right now. There, I have 40% close combat damage with this weapon pulled out. Which means about, well, whatever 10% of that should be diminished a little bit. But this is all about skill damage. I don't know, I guess I should put close combat damage on my dual swords. Because it's hard for me to test skill damage this way. Alright, so that did about 7,400 damage. And that's with my swordsman armor set buffing the amount of damage by 30% and the skill damage. Which, again, I don't know if that's causing a diminishing return either. That wasn't even a fully charged draw strike, and it did 7,000 damage. That's not from behind or anything. That's not even taking advantage of my armor sets that I'm wearing right now. How is this fucking shit dealing so much fucking damage? I don't get it. I don't understand. I normally don't have problems understanding things in video games, but I don't understand what makes this fucking weapon right here deal so much fucking damage. It is unbelievable. I've tried everything to figure out how to emulate that kind of damage. And again, right now, these swords are higher and have a higher attack multiplier than this. They shouldn't even be dealing near comparable damage with how far ahead these dual swords are. Considering how buffed skill damage. That's 8,000 right there, so I just hit 8,000. That was about 9,500, 9,700. That was about 10,200. That's with the skill damage buff of Karajishi. I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna reset real quick, and I want to go kill that skeleton again. But this time, I want to do a draw strike on this with the skill damage buff. So I need to proc the skill damage and then do a fully charged draw strike. Not a half-charged one, because that one doesn't deal full damage. A full charged draw strike with the normal katana does more damage. How am I gonna proc the damage buff? Not by parrying, that's for fucking sure. Parry that. Oh, there we go. We got the damage. That's 8,000 from the front. So, this is dealing less damage from the front. In that instance, with the skill damage, that one did 10,000. They have different damage resistances, so again, it's hard to quantify it. Because Yokai Realm adds more damage resistance. That was 8,500. I don't think that was fully charged, though. That wasn't obvious. 9,800 from the front. Get rid of that skill. Yeah, so it's about 8,000 damage. It's anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 on weaker enemies with the skill damage buff. And again, that sword is lower level than these. That sword has less attack and is one level lower. Sign of the Cross, mind you, the swords, my dual swords are being buffed by, like, how much skill damage? 17.8% plus the 30% from the Master Swordsman armor set. So it should be dealing 30% plus 17% if they're different. If the skill damage is quantified as the same thing in the mathematics, then I'm getting more diminishing returns out of my skill damage than I am my close combat damage, which would make sense a little bit. But I still can't understand why the single katana can still deal comparable damage. It has no reason dealing comparable damage. I'm not even remotely close to being built for the single katana. I could get way more damage out of that thing than I'm getting out of these right now. I could hit up to 35,000 to 40,000 with the single katana, so these things are going to have to hit at least 10k with each sword in order to be comparable. And I already know that because, again, those are the numbers that I already get on my other way higher level characters. That was about, it was hard to see the numbers, but it looked like it was about 8,600 or so. Get that skill damage proc. Yeah, so the dual swords do deal more damage when I use Sign of the Cross. Specifically, Sign of the Cross. And that ability, too. I mean, that ability is just ridiculous, though. If you actually land all the hits, which is pretty hard to do consistently unless you're just fucking butted right up against the ass of an enemy. It's like, I'm not trying to say that the dual swords are not weak, because they are definitely one of the strongest weapons. They're way stronger than the spears all the way to. Let me just say that. But comparative to the single katana, I still don't think that they can be anywhere near as close damage-wise. I've seen a lot of different dual sword builds because I got really curious after yesterday and me raging about how these things were dealing such shitty damage in Marubashi, but my single katana, which is +6, sorry, my fucking controller keeps doing that because I had it plugged in. I was trying to do Marubashi the other day, and for whatever reason, I could not get my dual swords to one-shot anyone. Even when damage buffed with the skill damage and everything. I could not get it to come anywhere near close enough to one-shotting one of the guys. And it made me wonder, like, what could the big difference actually be? And the only things I can draw a line on being the actual thing I need to change is probably this. I probably need to, yeah, I'm probably just gonna swap this out. What the fuck, that slime made it all the way up here? Nonsense. I could hear it in the background, but I thought it was just in the building moving around. How OP blocking is with this sword. I need to probably put final blow damage on this thing. Final blow damage. Probably remove the earth damage. I don't know if I want to remove the quick attack life drain, but skill life drain would probably help me a lot more, even though that's just a health thing. That's not really what will help you deal more damage, so it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not going to waste money re-rolling it if I don't have to. Because I normally have really bad luck with Forging. That's the one good thing that has happened to me so far on the second playthrough that never happened to me, is getting the stuff that I actually wanted in a reasonable amount of time. I forgot there was a rock there. I'd want to say spears are probably the weakest weaponry thing, but I can't confirm that by any means. I just know it seemed to kill shit the least fastest when I made a build about it, so. I have to rely so heavily on buffs to deal any damage. But then again, I also didn't know how strong Harajishi was, and never really used it until this playthrough. And now I use it all the time whenever I'm trying to go for max damage, because I'm shit with Tengu. Or, no. Tengen. It's like, I should be dealing way more damage with that skill, in my opinion. Do I need to join, like, Honda or something like that? Join, like, Honda Katakatsu plan for the skill damage or whatever? I didn't think 7% skill damage would make that much of a difference comparative to just having the 20% on the weapon. Which I still don't have, but I'm gonna keep trying for it. Fine, don't do anything. I was just gonna say, you shouldn't be alive right now, but he still managed to steal my Amrita and then fucking leave with it. Fucker. Stupid lickers. I need to get a drink. 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Get these submissions done. So this is Tokyo. This is modern day Tokyo. No. What the shit? I things are rendered down there? This frame rate. Frame rate of certain areas sucks so bad. Man, I tried to play Dark Souls 2 again the other night, and holy shit, the movement in that game. I just couldn't, like, I played it for about 40 minutes. I wanted to create just a character, like a low-level power stance character. I gave the fuck up on that so quickly. The movement in that game is just like, why? Why is the camera so... Why is the character so centered on the camera when he doesn't need to be? Even the other Souls games know not to do that, because I've just been playing Bloodborne and Dark Souls, and the camera and movement didn't make me feel nearly as sick as it did in Dark Souls 2. I don't know what the fuck it was. But it's like in Dark Souls 2, if you want to move slightly in one direction, you have to like turn your camera a little bit instead, because your character has this odd, like, momentum-based stiffness about it in Dark Souls 2 that is just... It just doesn't feel good to play if you've been playing a 60 FPS game that has really fluid movement in it. Which again, I'm not trying to say that that makes Dark Souls 2 bad. I wouldn't own it or have beaten it before if I thought that was the case. It's just I can't go back to it now. It feels so archaic. I mean, it felt archaic when it came out, but I got adjusted to it. But I don't know if I could do that again. I really don't know if I could adjust to it. Because it's so bad. Dark Souls 2 improved on quite a few things in the series, but holy fuck, whoever did the main design of the way that the character is going to work in that game, he fucked up bad. Like, really bad. And then everyone just sort of had to deal with it and worked around it, and that's the game. That's how the entire game feels, is like someone made a mistake halfway through development, and then the entire game was based around that one mistake because they couldn't fix it. Or figure out a way to do it better, even though they did do it better in their other games in the same fucking series. In the earlier titles, even Demon Souls doesn't feel as fucking stiff and weird as fucking Dark Souls 2 does. And it's not my controller. I even thought it was my controller at one point. And I tried all three of my different controllers just to see how the movement varied on them. Even my older shitty one, which has a broken vertical movement on its left analog stick. Why they fucking did that with that game. It made it so much worse than it needed to be. It's just the way that if you try to sprint when you're locked on in that game, your character will do like, I mean, it does a very similar thing it does in Nioh, where your character turns around like this, except for your character like goes this direction, he turns around, takes a couple steps, and then starts to get up to his momentum. And it takes like a good full second and a half for your character, once you press the B button and are holding backwards, for your character to fully turn around and run backwards. And again, there's just so many things about it that just are so sickening to play with me. I don't know. I'm also a stickler for fluid controls, and that's one of the things that Nioh passes on all, like, degrees. The only thing it doesn't pass on is the shitty draw strike, and why the fuck is it so glitchy? Why do you have to stand perfectly still or hold a direction to do it? You can't hold a direction and let go halfway through the animation, or enter the animation and then start moving halfway through it. You can't do that. You have to do it in a very specific way, or else it does not work. Like that. I just tried to do a draw strike, and all that happened was my character turned around, even though I was locked on. Which I think is probably just a byproduct of the fact that this game was never meant to work being locked on all the time with your character strafing like this. I think this was something that they made way after they had already designed all of this. Because when you're not locked on, it works almost perfectly fine in that regard. It's only when you're locked on, which is why you see me do a lot more unlocked stuff on this character. It's one of the only ways to draw strike regularly in a more controlled fashion. Like that. I never would have been able to do that if I was locked on. Never. Ow, dude. Cut it out. I'm sloth. I can't move. How are you gonna sloth a brother like that? I don't know, the draw strike has some weirdly specific bullshit about it, and it's definitely because of the way that the game progressively changed the way that the game was played. Because of player feedback, obviously. Because if you go, again, look at footage of the alpha, the camera was vastly different. Just in general, how the camera worked and how your character controlled in the alpha is very, very different from what it is in the final version. Why? I don't know. But it's definitely a fact. the camera used to be almost more over-the-shoulder-esque. Like, it was a lot more zoomed in. The FOV wasn't as wide. I don't know, it was just generally very different. Did it without taking any damage. Too bad it didn't give me Nioh Crusher for it. You have to kill the Nioh in the main mission specifically, I believe. Yeah, it didn't give me it, even though I clearly didn't take any damage there. I hate this mission. Excuse me. Done. Cocker. Why didn't that do crit damage? Fuck, I went down the wrong ledge. No, I didn't. This ledge will work fine too. Can I one-shot these with my rifle? With my rifle, this is my gun. There we go. Still do insane fucking damage. That's for sure. The music didn't even get to kick in. Just stand there and block. Fine with me. I should probably level up before I get another 1.5 million and read it stolen from me.